Welcome to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds like something straight out of a movie, but believe it or not, there's a version of the 1995 1-cent coin from the United States that has stunned collectors across the world with its jaw-dropping value, reaching up to an unbelievable $60 million under the right conditions. And the craziest part is that it looks almost identical to the pennies most people ignore every single day, which means someone, somewhere, might already have it sitting in an old jar, a forgotten drawer, or even mixed in loose change without realizing the life-changing fortune they're holding. And today we're diving deep into the mystery, history, and hidden secrets behind this extraordinary coin that has turned ordinary people into legends overnight. So make sure you stick with me till the very end, because what's coming next after this coin will completely flip your understanding of coin collecting upside down, and trust me, you do not want to miss it, because the next coin in this sequence has a story that's even more unbelievable than this one. But first, let's unlock the secrets of the 1995 penny that has quietly built its reputation as one of the most shocking modern rarities in numismatics history. Now here's where things get really interesting, because in 1995 the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies like every other year, and nothing about this coin was supposed to be special. It was just another Lincoln cent featuring the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back, a design that had been in use for decades. And yet somewhere in the chaos of mass production something unusual happened, a subtle but powerful minting anomaly that most people would never even notice unless they knew exactly what to look for. And this tiny imperfection is what separates a 1-cent coin from something that could rival the value of the most luxurious mansions in the world. Now collectors have spent years hunting for specific variations of the 1995 penny, especially those with dramatic doubling errors where the inscriptions and design elements appear slightly duplicated due to misalignment during the minting process. And while minor doubling can be found occasionally, the rare and extreme versions of this error are what send collectors into a frenzy, because they are incredibly scarce and almost impossible to find in circulation today. Imagine holding a coin where the word liberty or the date itself appears slightly doubled, as if it's vibrating with hidden energy. That's not just a cool visual quirk, that's a signal to experts that you might be looking at something truly extraordinary. And if that doubling is strong enough and preserved in near perfect condition, that's when the value starts climbing into unimaginable territory. Now let's talk about why collectors are willing to pay such insane amounts for a coin like this, because it's not just about rarity, it's about the story behind it. Every coin tells a piece of history. And the 1995 penny represents a moment where modern minting technology still allowed for human-level imperfections to slip through, creating accidental treasures that were never meant to exist. And that unpredictability is what fuels the obsession, because unlike ancient coins or limited edition releases, these rare pennies were mixed into everyday circulation, meaning anyone could have found one without even trying, which creates this powerful sense of possibility that keeps collectors searching through rolls of pennies hoping to strike gold without the gold. Now there have been reports over the years of people discovering valuable 1995 pennies in the most random places, from old piggy banks to inherited coin jars to loose change at convenience stores, and each story adds to the legend, making it feel like this isn't just a coin, it's a hidden opportunity waiting to be uncovered. And the auction scene only adds fuel to the fire, because whenever a high-grade example with strong doubling surfaces, it attracts serious attention from wealthy collectors and investors who understand just how rare these pieces are and how quickly their value can skyrocket over time, especially as fewer and fewer of them remain undiscovered or in pristine condition. But here's the part that most people completely overlook: condition is everything. A worn-out coin with heavy scratches and fading details won't command the same attention as one that looks almost untouched, as if it just left the mint. yesterday, and that's why professional grading services play such a huge role in determining value, because they authenticate the coin and assign it a grade that tells buyers exactly what they're getting. And in the world of rare coins, even a small difference in grade can mean millions of dollars in value, which is absolutely wild when you think about it. Now picture this: you're going through your spare change late at night, maybe out of boredom, maybe out of curiosity, and suddenly you notice something off about one of your pennies. The letters look slightly doubled, the edges seem sharper than usual. Your heart starts racing because you remember hearing something about a rare 1995 penny, and in that moment your entire perspective shifts, because what used to be just loose change now feels like a potential jackpot. This is the emotional thrill that keeps collectors hooked. It's not just about money, it's about discovery, the idea that something extraordinary could be hiding in plain sight, and that you might be the one to find it before anyone else. And speaking of extraordinary, make sure you stay locked in, because later in this video we're going to move on to another coin that takes this concept to a whole new level, a coin that has its own jaw-dropping story, and trust me, you're not going to see it coming. But before we get there, there's still more to uncover about the 1995 penny, because not all rare examples are created equal. Some feature subtle die cracks, others show off center strikes where the design isn't perfectly aligned with the coin's edge, and then there are those ultra-rare specimens with multiple errors combined, creating a one-of-a-kind piece that collectors would do almost anything to own. And this is where things start to feel almost unreal, because each variation adds another layer of uniqueness, turning a simple copper coin into a masterpiece of accidental artistry. And the deeper you go into this world, the more you realize that rarity isn't just about numbers, it's about stories, about the journey each coin has taken from the mint to the present day, and the mystery of how it managed to survive without being spent or damaged beyond recognition. Now let's not ignore the psychological side of this, because part of what drives these insane valuations is the fear of missing out. Collectors know that once a rare coin is discovered and enters a private collection, it might not resurface for years or even decades, which means every opportunity to acquire one feels like a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and that urgency pushes prices higher and higher, especially when multiple buyers are competing for the same piece. And suddenly a coin that was once worth a single cent becomes the center of a bidding war that can change lives overnight. And if you're thinking this all sounds too good to be true, remember, this history is full of examples where ordinary people stumbled upon extraordinary finds simply because they took the time to look a little closer. So before you dismiss your spare change as worthless, take a moment to really examine it, because you never know what might be hiding there. And just when you think this story couldn't get any more intense, we're about to transition into the next coin, which has an even more unbelievable background and a level of rarity that might actually surpass everything we've talked about so far. So don't go anywhere, because if the 1995 penny shocked you, the next coin is going to leave you completely speechless. Next, 1981 D 1-cent coin. It looks like any other penny, but appearances are deceiving, and if you've ever casually tossed a copper coin into a jar without a second thought, you might want to rethink that habit right now, because the 1981 D 1-cent coin has quietly built a reputation among collectors as one of the most mysterious and potentially life-changing coins still hiding in plain sight today. A coin that most people have seen, touched, and spent without realizing that under the right circumstances it could be worth a staggering $70 million. And the wildest part is that its secret doesn't scream for attention, it whispers. It hides in tiny details, in subtle differences, in overlooked imperfections that only the sharpest eyes or the luckiest collectors ever notice. And today we're going to peel back every layer of this coin's story, so you understand exactly why this seemingly ordinary Denver minted penny has become a legend in the world of numismatics, and why it might still be sitting unnoticed somewhere in your home right now. Now let's get straight into what makes the 1981 penny so incredibly special, because on the surface it follows the classic design everyone knows, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, minted in Denver as indicated by the small D mint mark. But beneath that familiar look lies a turning point in U.S. coin history, because 1981 was right on the edge of a major transition period when the composition of pennies was about to change forever, and that's where things start getting interesting, because while most 1981 pennies were made from the traditional copper alloy, there were experimental processes, transitional errors, and unusual planchet variations that slipped through the cracks, creating coins that should never have existed in circulation. And those are exactly the types of coins collectors dream about finding. Imagine holding a coin that was struck on the wrong metal composition, or one that shows extreme die doubling so strong that the date and lettering appear almost ghosted beside themselves. These are not just minor quirks, these are signals of rarity that can send values skyrocketing into unbelievable territory, especially when combined with pristine condition. Now here's where the story gets even deeper, because the 1981 penny is known among serious collectors for a range of rare error types, including off-center strikes where the design is misaligned, leaving part of the coin blank, die cracks that form lightning-like patterns across the surface, and most importantly double die variations that create that iconic overlapping effect on the text and portrait. And while many of these errors are subtle, there are a handful of extreme examples that stand out so dramatically that even non-experts can spot them with the naked eye, and those are the coins that command the highest attention at auctions. Now picture this scenario: you're sorting through a pile of old coins, maybe inherited from a relative or collected over the years, and you come across a slightly unusual 1981 penny. Something about it feels off. Maybe the lettering looks thicker, maybe the alignment isn't perfect, maybe the shine and color don't quite match other pennies from the same era, and in that moment you're standing at the edge of a discovery that could completely change your life, because these small details are exactly what collectors spend years searching for, and most people overlook them without a second thought. And this is why I keep saying you need to pay attention, because coins like this don't announce themselves, they rely on you to notice them, and that's what makes this hobby so addictive. It's not just collecting, it's hunting, it's the thrill of finding something extraordinary where everyone else sees nothing. Now let's talk about the auction world, because this is where the legend of the 1981 penny really takes off. When a high-grade example with significant mint errors surfaces, it immediately grabs the attention of elite collectors, investors, and dealers who understand the rarity and potential of such a piece, and bidding wars can escalate quickly, especially when the coin is certified in near-perfect condition, because at that level you're not just buying a coin, you're buying a piece of history, a one-of-a-kind artifact that represents a moment when the minting process went slightly off track and accidentally created something priceless. And as more of these coins disappear into private collections, the remaining examples become even more valuable, creating a cycle of increasing demand and decreasing supply that pushes prices higher and higher over time. And here's something that most casual collectors don't realize: the difference between an average coin and a multi-million-dollar rarity often comes down to microscopic details, things you might need magnification to fully appreciate, which is why professional grading and authentication are so critical, because they confirm whether a coin truly has the characteristics that make it valuable, or if it's just another common piece. Now as we move deeper into this story, I want you to keep one thing in mind: this isn't just about coins, it's about awareness. It's about realizing that extraordinary value can exist in the most ordinary places, and that sometimes the difference between missing out and striking it big is simply taking a closer look. And if you're still here with me right now, you're already ahead of most people, because you're learning what to look for, and that knowledge alone puts you in a completely different league. And just when you think this Journey couldn't get any more intense. Remember what we saw with the previous coin and how easily something so valuable could go unnoticed. Well, this 1981 D penny takes that concept even further because its rarity is tied not just to one factor but to a combination of errors, condition and timing, making it one of the most elusive finds in modern coin collecting. And if you're wondering whether coins like this are still out there, the answer is yes, they absolutely are, waiting quietly in circulation. In collections and forgotten boxes, just waiting for the right person to discover them, and maybe that person is you. So the next time you come across a handful of pennies, don't just spend them, take a moment, examine them, question them, because hidden among them could be a coin that rewrites your entire story. And that brings us to the end of this incredible journey through two coins that prove beyond any doubt that even the smallest pieces of currency can hold unimaginable value and life-changing potential. So keep searching, stay curious, and never underestimate what might be hiding in plain sight, because your next discovery could be closer than you think.